next up, we played one more game, Colin.
Yes.
PAX East. It was a big game.
Yes.
If you're talking AAA, I would say this is...
It's pretty AAA.
There's a new Ghostbusters?
Certainly in how long it's been in development.
No. We're talking about Final Fantasy 15.
Ah.
We got to play it. We played for about an hour.
We could have got for longer, but I just didn't really want to.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I like where this conversation's going.
That sets the stage. I didn't want to, but I think for a different reason.
What the hell's happening in this game?
All right, so Greg, let's catch you up here.
Thank you.
Because you weren't there. You weren't at the demo. It was just us and Nick flirting with people.
God damn it, Nick.
It was a road trip. It's a boy band road trip.
Nice.
That's pretty much what it is.
So far, I'm in.
Yeah, and then they're hunting monsters and stuff. Don't really know exactly too
Why?
much.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it's who cares?
Sure.
It really doesn't
Sure.
matter.
Okay.
The thing is, we've been seeing trailers for this game for 8 years now, and I was so excited when I saw the first one. And like the music to me from the first trailer till now, I'm just like, they're fucking nailing it. And I think that music is such an important thing for Final Fantasy games because Final Fantasy is so narrative and so the story is so important and you have to connect to it emotionally, and music just makes you connect to things better. And I feel like the one thing that this demo nailed more than anything else was the right music at the right time to make me feel how the game wanted me to feel. Like, this is the first time in a Final Fantasy game that I played that there's multiple battle themes for just regular battles. So depending on which monsters you were fighting, there'd be different songs and stuff, and I thought that was cool. The gameplay was fun. The battle system was a little more... It's a little less Final Fantasy and a little more like Devil May Cry, God of War style, like hack and slash, but with the like Final Fantasy tropes and stuff. But to me, it kind of felt like it was in the middle of the two, and it didn't actually commit to either. But the thing with that is, like, obviously there's 100 hours left in the game, and like that will flesh out and will hopefully feel a bit better, because I felt like a lot of times it was just mashing square.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked very much the way it opens. The demo opens. It opens with them in a tent, and their cell phone is going off with the alarm, and the alarm just stays on for minutes as they like pass it around and try to wake each other up or whatever. I think the characters feel a little sterile and samey. The voice acting of that one character that has cloud hair is fucking atrocious, and I want to repeat that his voice acting is atrocious. It's not even anywhere near being okay or mediocre. It is terrible. Like, he sounds like he doesn't belong with that group. He's a whiny like character or whatever. It sounds like a voice actor from 10 or 15 years ago in a Final Fantasy game. I can't, like, when I first heard that, I'm like, I cannot believe that this is the way this character sounds.
To be clear, as somebody who wasn't there, this is English voice acting, right?
English,
not Japanese.
yeah. I don't even know the character's name, so I don't know which. It's the character that looks like Cloud.
Well, they have the most. I mean,
Cloud 2.
Final Fantasy is known for ridiculous names, but like, holy shit, the names in this game were like it was like Mobulus and Pronto.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I'm like,
sounds
cool.
Fuck? Yeah, I mean, but so when I got that was the first thing that struck me. First, I was like, all right, this is really cool. I like this, humanizing these characters immediately. Then I was like, I listened to that guy talking. I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking awful. You know, like, this is the way this guy sounds. And
give me an impression. I
can't even do an impression.
Honestly, it's a weird thing because like I'm going into this wanting to like this game, and I want to clear. I did like this. I enjoyed it a lot. The reason I wanted to stop playing was because I wanted to save it for when it actually comes out of the demo or whatever. But what Colin's saying, I mean, it's spot on. Like, the presentation, it's a fucking Final Fantasy game. Like, it's supposed to be an interactive movie experience, like all this stuff, like cinematic shit, right?
Yeah.
And it was very, very cinematic. But then to hear, I don't even know so much if it was I don't know if I agree with you that the voice acting was atrocious.
Just that one character.
But like,
oh my god,
that the voice coming from how the character looks and the fact that it's English and the fact that they're talking like English bros. Like, it sounded like me and Alex Solomita talking to each other.
That you guys aren't a boy band.
I mean, but we're kind of boy band.
Nope.
Yeah, we are. I'm pretty sure we are. But they looked like that, but they weren't talking like that. So it was so weird because they look like these Japanese Final Fantasy characters, and they're talking like us. And I don't know. It was really felt wrong.
It was weird in the sense that, like, I want to be clear because there's 4 characters you play as, and you hear the voices. I think the voices for the other 3 guys are fine. In fact, like, I think that And I wish I knew their names. I really don't, and I can't even differentiate the characters in my head.
Do you want me to look them up?
No. But like one guy is like kind of a British, kind of more like dire accent. Like,
oh, it's me.
No, not quite like that.
I was similar.
But it's just like with that, all the way the guy's talking, then the blonde guy talking to them, I was like, there's something way off. There's a huge dissonance between these characters I don't like. So that kind of ruined that opening scene for me because I was like, this is really cool. At first, and then but all right, so you get out of the tent and then you are in this open world, and this is someone from Square Enix asked me what I thought, and I'm like, this world that you've built, this game that you're building is a clear synthesis and fusion of Western role-playing games with what you guys do already, and this game is very Western. This is a game that is, in my opinion, a complete back in your face to the gamers who complain about Final Fantasy 13's closeness, corridor like running and stuff like that. This is a wide open game. And so I was like, all right, this is great. We go into the battle tutorial. It's cool. I like the battle system actually quite a bit. I think that the game is button mashy, but I think it's way deeper than that. It reminds me of the way I felt about Final Fantasy 13. I think one of the things I loved most about Final Fantasy 13 was the battle system.
Yeah,
actually, the battle system was really, really good and dynamic. And what you learned about it is like it seems simple at first, and it really isn't simple at all because you have to use magic and do all these things in 13. In 15, I think we saw pretty quickly when we were fighting harder enemies that there's way more to this than just hitting the square button.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's not about just hitting square to win. It's just more about, I was more taken aback by how much you had to just keep hitting square. Like, strategically timed, but like it seemed excessive, especially some of the battles, like when we got to the mammoth-y creatures, right? That battle took like 10 minutes. That's just 10 minutes of running from fat fuck to fat fuck, hitting them, which is fine. But like it felt weird to me. But I was engaged the entire time. Like it felt good, and I was excited. I want to see what was going to happen next. And like there was moments where like when the giant motherfucker comes out.
Yeah, I couldn't even beat that guy.
Yeah, it was impossible.
It was really hard. So I think that the game, I agree with you, the game is somewhere in the middle and doesn't commit to a lot of things. I am disappointed that the game isn't a little more traditional in its battle structure. I think that after 13, I liked 13's battle system. 12 system was more inspired by MMO, and I wanted to have something a little more traditional and turn-based. This game is in no way, shape, or form turn-based at all. It is totally active. So you are in arenas that spawn when you run into enemies, and then you basically have the entire map to run around as long as you don't get too far away from the enemies. Otherwise, you disengage again. There's weird and interesting things that the battle system does that I noticed that I think is really cool. One thing is that you can teleport across the map by throwing your sword, which I think is like really, really cool, and you can actually teleport vertically. So like you can... So like if you need to get out of battle to heal, for instance, like you can, and there's like a tower, you can like shoot your sword up and then just teleport up there and you're healing and everything, and then you can actually teleport back into the enemy and like hurt him. So there's little cool things like that. And I also thought that the system of helping your friends up when they fall is pretty cool because you have 2 layers of hit points basically in the game. And you don't use a Phoenix down on an enemy or on a character that is crippled or whatever you want to disable in some way. You use a potion, or you can just lift them up with your hand, go up to them and press X, and they get about a third of their health back. And that brings me to another cool thing that I think the game does that's really interesting in more of the active time battles kind of way it does. This game does it, is that you can hide from enemies in the battle, which is cool. And if you hide, you regain your hit points and your magic points quicker. That said, the battle seemed a little chaotic, but I really do give them a benefit of the doubt on this point because I think that it's going to be like 13 where you just don't understand it yet. Yeah. Like, I remember thinking I understood 13's battle system until I was fighting really hard bosses, and you realize you don't understand anything.
Yeah, you have to really actually use all the functions of it and stuff that up until then, they didn't really... It's not that they didn't teach you, but you just had no need to do it. You could just do the auto battle, and win. But then later, when you're fighting the bosses, you would have to switch between all the different... I forgot what they called them, but... there's some weird...
stratagem or whatever. It's not that, but something like that.
Yeah, and you have to switch between it, and you could tell in this game that it's going to be like that. Paradigm
shift.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that the battle system was interesting. There was a dissonance between the depth of the battle system and the Western nature of the battle system and the Japanese nature of the character designs, and I think the world as a whole. There is something weird disconnecting the desperate pieces of the game that I think bother me, because I didn't want to stop playing it because I didn't like it. I wanted to stop playing because I was just like, I don't know, like, this is a game that I'll play when it comes out, and I need to spend time with it. This is not going to be the appropriate amount of time to spend with the game.
This isn't a game you jump into and
run with. And like, I don't know.
Trifle with it.
I don't know. I wasn't blown away by the way it looked. I don't think that like I don't think Square Enix is going to be, and I don't care about the graphics really, but this is not a game that is going to is not pushing the PS4 at all.
I mean, it's there was moments that they kind of built up to be the holy shit, this is the grand first showing of the world and stuff, and I remember like they walk out of the tent and you see it and I was like, cool. Like that's fine.
Yeah,
and,
it looks good.
It was beautiful.
Yep.
It looks really good, but it doesn't. I mean, I remember playing Final Fantasy X for the first time, just being like, "Holy shit, this looks amazing!" Like Final Fantasy used to be the thing that pushed the graphical limits of the system it's on, and it looks great.
Well, it doesn't, I think, because this is an artifact from a PS3 game. So I think that like the textures are probably not quite where they needed to be, and so I don't give a fuck about the way the game looks. It looks fine. Like it looks good.
I think it looks great. It just doesn't look.
There's going to be prettier open world games. Yeah, like when we played a game like The Witcher, like I think The Witcher is much more impressive looking in terms of the world than I think Final Fantasy 13 or 15 is, in my opinion. And so the other things that I took away from it, I don't know how you feel about this kind of stuff, is first of all, there are throwbacks to Final Fantasy 6 in this game, specifically with, and I thought this was very clever because everyone knows that Final Fantasy 6 is most Final Fantasy fans' favorite game. So the Magitech soldiers that constantly assault you, Magitech is a Final Fantasy 6 thing.
Yeah.
And it was funny that there are basically robots that kind of come in on drop ships like randomly, and they're called Magitech Knights or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty funny.
Cool little thing.
So yeah, and the thing I liked most about this was that this was happening randomly and even in battles. So like if you're in a battle that you feel like you're managing and then these guys drop in,
you're pretty fucked.
Yeah,
they're shooting you from afar. And
the whole nature of the battle changes, which is pretty cool.
And I really like that. Like that
was neat.
When those guys first came in, it was like nighttime and stuff. Like I felt stressed out in a good way. Like that was like I think the moment that I was like, oh, I really do enjoy what I'm doing right now. Like this is fun, and I can't wait to play more of this and be able to beat these motherfuckers' ass. Like it definitely won me over. I think that it's a good demo. Like I think that it's hard to show off any RPG really in a short amount of time, but I think that it did do a good job of here's a tutorial that you could skip if you want, and then going out into this giant world, and it gave you a good enough space to be able to do stuff. Every once in a while, I'd look over at your screen, see where you were at, and you were always doing something different than what I was doing. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But we'd reach points where we did get to the same fight eventually. And I thought that was awesome that we did it different ways, but we both reached the same point. And those points were fun. Like I enjoyed the fights a lot, and I loved the way that you had your 4 dudes and you're constantly thinking about where they're at. And it's not like other RPG games where like the AI, they're just fucking doing stuff and you're like, oh, you're useless. They're fighting. Like if you walk away, like they'll fight for you and like that you could win, and I thought that was cool. I mean, it's much more similar to Kingdom Hearts than it is to previous Final Fantasies. Like you have the equivalent of Donald and Goofy and stuff running around with you, and then the battle system it's an action RPG more so than an RPG.
It is an action RPG,
but it just, I don't know, something feels off to me about the fact that I want it almost to feel more Devil May Cry like. I want it to feel more like I have options with what I'm doing quickly. No, I don't want to have to go into a menu and change the combo order, which is essentially what the battle system is. And I feel like Kingdom Hearts was a little better in that respect, in that maybe it was just the fact that it's cartoony looking that it makes it feel better. Like maybe I'm off put by the fact that it's realistic and you're doing all this.
Yeah, it could be. I think that it seems like a reactionary game, and that's not really super surprising considering that there's a profound dislike of Final Fantasy 13. Like I think that people underestimate, like, some people out there really like Final Fantasy 13. I respect that. If you like the game, that's great. I don't think it's terrible or even a bad game by any stretch of imagination, but there is a severe disliking of that game.
It's just not a good Final Fantasy
game.
Yeah,
exactly. So, and I think that a lot of people looked at it as something that's like, well, this is a linear game. There's no customization options. It's all about these paradigm shifts and really not about your equipment and all this kind of stuff. How are you leveling? And I think this game is a reaction to that. So now it's about, there is deep customization options in multiple ways. You are wearing all sorts of equipment. You have all sorts of weapons. You have on your D-pad, you control like your magical spells on the fly, which I think is really cool. I kept using that drain spell, which I used to love using in Final Fantasy 4 and 6, to like heal yourself as you attack your enemies. But I agree with you in the sense that there is a lack of commitment. Like when you are an action RPG, you are inherently getting more arcadey. So if you want to go in that direction, then you really should just go in that direction. If you want to stay in a more traditional role-playing game space, then you have to pull it back a little bit. So I'll be interested to see how this fighting system develops. That said, the one cool thing I really did enjoy was you earn experience points based on how thoroughly and quickly and uniquely you kill enemies, and you don't level up or actually get to use the experience points until you camp. And I don't know if you did that in your game, but like you go to a campsite and camp. This is where the game gets very Tales-like, because and I think that this is a clear inspiration from Tales, is that you can like cook at your or even Dragon's Crown or something. Like you can cook at your tent and like give your characters like debuffs and stuff for like the next day. So like you can, give them some sort of gray magic or black magic abilities, or, heal them or give them extra experience points or something like that. But when you camp, like that's when your characters all level up and you become stronger. So like it seems like it's about like going and doing as much as humanly possible and then camping, and then doing as much as humanly possible and then camping. The game is clearly very quest based, which is different. This is a different. A different Final Fantasy game. Like this is definitely a Western game. And at least from what we played, and I'm not really sure it's a bad thing, but
what you're talking about actually makes me kind of interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it happens. I mean, people asked me at the meet and greet and at our panel how I felt about it, and I was like, my expectations are still very low for the game, simply because, not because I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. It's just, I don't want to be disappointed. I was really disappointed with 13, and I don't want to be disappointed again. So if the game surprises me, that's great. What I played leaves me in basically the same place I was in. I'm way more concerned about Type 0, which I don't think is going to be very good based on what I played in Japan, more than 13 or 15. I keep saying 13. But I'm also interested in when this game is going to come out.
Yeah.
And I think that we are about a year and a half away. So it's a weird time to release the demo.
When's Goofy say it's going to come out?
Goofy said everything's coming out this year.
Everything. It's all coming out this year.